Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for May 4th, 2023, 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We'll be having a reverse aging health call tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern. What happens when we understand that all things in existence and beyond must have balance? If we don't have balance, then we have chaos and confusion and misinterpretation. So it is a universal, it is a creation across all planes of existence that we have balance. Now, at times the balance is on one side more than the other. That was the case with this planet. We were way out of balance, and the balance is that the dark mists of this planet, the pure evil, the infiltrators, had gripped it, and understand why they were so successful for so very long. Is that if you'll notice through the histories that they created for this civilization, in a lot of different areas that this civilization isn't even aware of, that the feminine energy was front and center for a very long time on this planet. And they've done everything they can to destroy the feminine energy, to keep it out of the way, which then makes, if it's mostly the masculine energy, it can be corrupted, twisted, diverted, influenced, manipulated, deceived. And that's exactly what's happened. If you can take the feminine out of the equation, that leaves the masculine vulnerable to attack, to distortion. So now, if you look at the majority, of the people that supposedly have run the planet, you will find that the majority of them are male, even though maybe they were female. We're not talking about bodies, gender. We're talking about all of us having male, feminine, and masculine energies. So we're talking about rooting out the feminine energies and only holding the masculine energies. This is why that we've had so many wars, so many conflicts. This is why all bombs, for the most part, are shaped like what? Penises. You see, the masculine influence on the planet is huge and prevalent. And all wars and conflicts were basically generated from the masculine energies. Now, when you understand this, that the feminine starts to come back, and the balancing begins, the rebalance. So as the feminine floods in through all of us, the chaos begins to subside, right? And things begin to balance. So the dark frequencies, the subversive frequencies, the destructive frequencies, cannot maintain a high enough frequency to stay in control. They're not able to. Even if some know this consciously, they will continue to walk forward with whatever agenda that's been put in front of them. But see, on this planet, the feminine has begun to take over, which is peaceful instead of warring, which is honesty instead of dishonesty, which is openness through heart-mindedness instead of ego mind, hiding, secrecy, covering up, instigating. So this is what we're witnessing on this planet. We're witnessing the return of the feminine. Now, what does that also mean to the financial system? The financial system is mostly, and it's in balance, it's in balance with the masculine, but the main control frequency is feminine. Now, with that type of financial system, see, and people don't, this hasn't been talked a lot about, but there is a high spiritual connection, etherical, with the quantum system. You know, it isn't physical, it's etherical, spiritual. And what this means is that when you bring in the feminine factor, it negates any attempt by the lower frequencies to mess with, infiltrate, manipulate, take over, run, period. They can't do it. They don't have the ability to do it. And they won't get the ability. So this is why you're witnessing the dissolving of the masculine and all the control factors on the planet, which were the pure evil, ego mind based beings that have ran the planet into the ground and that want to destroy this country, which then opens the door for them to take total control of the planet forever. Now that's masculine energy. And the feminine has taken front and center. That won't occur. But they will move forward with it, but it won't occur. Now, as the feminine is deeply seated with the civilization, many things will fall away. A lot of untruths, a lot of injustices, a lot of chicanery, a lot of this and that will be made known. And you can kind of feel, for a long time on this planet, that the feminine was suppressed because of the frequencies that were being expelled onto the civilization. Those frequencies were always what? Doom and gloom, fear, worry, stress, anxiety, all the time. It kept the civilization in a yesterday and tomorrow path where they would suffer every day, every night, every morning. And as the feminine continues to flood in and saturate everything, shifting occurs. When something is in perfect balance, everything is in harmony. When something is gravely out of balance, everything is in chaos. So we got to understand is that it's the balance that is so important. It's the balance. And this hasn't been discussed much, but it's the feminine that is returned to the civilization. And again, we're not talking female and male in the physical form. We're talking, we all have feminine, we all have masculine within the body. And now it's balancing, which means that's why we will move more and more into higher and higher frequencies. You got to understand it, that you create the frequency, then the density embraces you. You create the frequency. This isn't a place that you go through a doorway and there it is. This is you increasing your vibrational frequency to allow you to enter 5 density or 5th dimension. Because your frequency has been sustained long enough into the higher realms of existence so that you can effortlessly walk about and exist in 5D. Now understand, for these bodies that we're in, that's it for these bodies. fifth dimension. Because and people say, well, why is that? You can't go with these bodies. You can't go into a higher dimension other than 5 because the body will not survive. So what happens? Well, in the 5D, once we get acclimated and understand who and what we are, then we'll, and like I said, we keep increasing our frequencies. And then we go to 6, right? But when we go to 6, our bodies change. And they go from a carbon base to a crystalline base. And then that allows us to go into higher densities and frequencies than just 5. See, because it all comes back to us. It's about discovery of who and what we are in these bodies, which then opens up a plethora of information for us to digest, interact with, interface with, absorb, clarify. So when you understand this combination, then it's effortless. You know these things through your heart mind, and it's effortless. You just do it. Okay, so what's the first thing? Well, the first thing is focus on the breath and stay in the now. And then we decide to go within and stay within, which means our journey within is to discover the gods we are. And then commune with those gods, interface with those gods, have a deeply eternal relationship, loving eternal relationship with those gods. And so it comes about that we have this opportunity to accelerate our destiny path. And what that means is that we're directing. Each of us are directing ourselves. And because that you have reestablished the feminine energy within you, you're able to start waving that out to the rest of the people of the planet. Now you can definitely tell the difference between a person who is high frequency and a person who is low frequency. This is by choice, whether conscious or unconscious. We can tell. It's not difficult, because when you get around a low frequency person, you don't care to stay around them long. Okay? But when you get around a high frequency person, you care to stay around them a long time as much as you can. Huge difference. And eventually we begin to pick up without judgment to say, I'm around a low frequency person, I don't care to be around them. But see, your frequency is high enough where it may affect them. Where it starts giving them the opportunity to increase their frequency. For instance, when you love something or someone, right, your frequency goes up automatically. And that affects others. And their frequency goes up. If someone's laughing a lot, that's a high frequency. It will affect you, and you may start laughing. You ever notice when there's a group of us and we see something that's sad, like maybe a movie, information, someone's sharing some stuff with a group of people, and then several people start crying. Right? That's a releasing, an energetic release. It increases our frequency. When you're around a group of people that are very depressed, you don't care to stay around those people. You're drawn, and others are drawn to you because of your frequency. And how do you increase your frequency? By staying in an attitude of gratitude. Every day. All the time. genuinely through the heart mind, staying in an attitude of gratitude, being gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. These are massive major frequency shifts into higher dimensional frequencies. It's like going up a set of stairs, right? You step on one and you go a little bit higher frequency, and then you get balanced and you go to another one, and then more things start opening up. You may take longer on that step that you did on the previous one, but slowly but surely you take those steps up, okay, through the ascension. You're ascending, your consciousness is ascending to a higher existence. And that's connected with the amount of frequencies that we share with the rest of the planet. Now, obviously, you get in a mood, right? You don't know where it came from. You wake up in the morning, you're in a mood. And you forget to do any type of a mantra or confirmation that you're deeply grateful for everything. That you love yourself, you have faith in yourself, confidence, and trust. And you love the universe. But somehow that all fades away, and you're in a situation where you're in a mood, and the frequency is low, right? Now, have you ever noticed that? You ever notice how that it's kind of hanging around, but it's not too active, that mood, and then something, it's like a tumble, right? And the mood comes front and center, and you tumble down in lower frequencies. You start to view things from a negative perspective. People, places, things. Now, you ridicule, you judge, you start cutting down this and that, and you're hard on yourself. This catapults you into lower frequencies, which means you drop. And the third density, you're in it, okay? But then everything that you're looking at, interfacing with, is twisted or slighted because of your mood. Now, when your frequencies are balanced, the mood you're in is high, loving to oneself, gentle, kind, generous, deep eternal gratitude, deep eternal love. It's all there. Where's all this coming from? Within that body, the God that's in it. And we have all of this, which is absolutely spectacular, but the majority of the time we don't identify with it, right? If you're going someplace, right? You're walking in a doorway. Someone's coming out, not paying attention, and they just bang into you, right? Shoulder bang. And at first you're frustrated, you're irritated about that. Well, who do they think they are? How impolite that is. Those are all signals for you to drop into lower frequency. It's a perspective. It's how we perceive things. And it's real tricky, sneaky. And so it's almost like, okay, they bumped into you, not a biggie. Much love to them. They have a lot of things going on. Who knows? But it wasn't directed towards you. And that's what a lot of people believe. Well, they did that on purpose. How dare them? Okay, and then drop in the frequencies. Now, obviously, we are pulled all the time in different directions. We don't sustain yet a constant or consistent level of higher frequencies because we allow the ego mind to take over and pull us down. Okay? So they pull us down. And some of us recognize that, and we come out of it. We come out of it. Other times it takes us much longer because we're so focused on that which we don't want. And so we stay focused on it. And more comes and more comes and more comes. Now, some of us just don't recover in that lifetime and we stay there. It's a habit that we fall into that. And then there's others that understand it. I'm deeply grateful that that person bumped into me so that I can identify with myself of that and to not allow myself to go into lower frequencies. And everything's for a reason. Everything is for a reason. And so we always look at it as a teacher. So when you are walking about or interacting or communicating or by yourself, ask yourself, where is your focus? Ask yourself, where's my focus in this very moment? What am I focused on? You'd be surprised what you find out on what are you focused on? What are you paying attention to? Where is your energy being directed? Okay? It's an interesting perspective or understanding that we all can view this. That we have this ability to identify this, but if we're so distracted the majority of the time, we miss it. And what happens when we kind of, we say, darn it, I missed it? We become more frustrated, right? That's why we choose to do these mantras, affirmations, as reminders. If it is to be, it is up to thee, period. It isn't up to anybody else but thyself. And when we really embrace this and understand it with a loving embrace and a respectful embrace, then we're directed to identify it and then make a choice. Do I go down this road, which I've been down before, and do I, which will be low frequency because we've experienced it before? Or do I take this road, which is high frequency? Instead of fighting things with myself, I surrender them to the God that I am. And after a while, you begin to pick up on this vibration. And as you pick up on the vibration, you begin to understand more and more. And instead of, like you've always done, get irritated or upset about something that pulls you down in lower frequency, you do the opposite. I don't care to go in lower frequency. I'd like to stay in higher frequencies, so therefore I'm going to stay in joy and peace and gratitude and gentleness and kindness and generosity myself. And then what happens is that as you do this every morning, every night, during the course of the day, you get in the habit of it. And it's just automatic. You don't force anything. It's just there. And it comes over you through your heart mind. And then out of the clear blue, you say, I am deeply, 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 eternally grateful for this very moment I am in. That doesn't take a lot. But you're voicing it, see? That's a high frequency. And the more high frequencies that we exude, the more we affect others. Now, we all know the opposite of what we're experiencing on this planet, right? At this very moment. Is we've got death, doom, and gloom, right? All the time over here. Confusion, distraction, And then over here, the opposite of it is peace, contentment, love, kindness, generosity, humbleness. So we know the opposites. We know the balance. So if you look at the planet and you say, wow, we've got too much masculine energy flying around, right? So we've got to balance that energy and bring in a lot more feminine energy. And how do we do that? Through peace, love, joy, gratitude, thankfulness, appreciation. Because we're constantly going through an educational process. We're not, this isn't, it isn't by chance. It is perfectly designed and engineered. That's why some of us ascend and some don't. Because in order to ascend and to go into higher frequencies, knowingly, is to surrender to all the things that we've been white-knuckling throughout this life and past lives. All the things that hold us in the material physical world. The wants, desires, the things that we think we need. There's a lot of it. So again, it falls down to our choice. And maybe you could call it a dilemma. A dilemma is that most of us aren't consciously aware of the choices we make. Because we've been so enabled through lower frequencies, and we're so used to it that it's easier for us to fall in the low frequencies than it is to high. It's to go up to high rather than down to low. And so, say you're in turmoil, right? And and people respond this way and say, well, that's easy for you to say, but you aren't going through what I'm going through. And that's true, in a way. But it's still, the constant is what? You have a choice to pull yourself or put yourself into higher frequency by just shifting your vibration. So if you're angry, frustrated, ticked off, something, right? You're in low vibrational frequency. And then you identify that and say, I don't really care to spend my energies here. So I am deeply grateful for this very moment that I am in. And you say it with really deep eternal love. You don't say it through the ego mind. You say it through the heart mind. And you'll feel it. And you'll notice a complete change of the energy in the atmosphere around you. You'll go into higher frequency. And you'll have identified, how silly for me to get upset about this. And you're not being hard on yourself. You're just saying, this was a silly thing. To disrupt my frequency and energy into lower dark matter, survival matter frequencies, I decided to take the turn and move into higher frequencies. So then what happens to the thing that caused you in the first place to go in low frequency, which means anger, frustration, anxiety, so on and so forth? It disappears, vanishes. It can't go hand in hand with higher frequency. It's not designed that way. That's how we create balance. So the balance here is you're bringing in feminine energy, which you've always had, but it's been blocked off. And so that feminine energy is, you're lighting up like a Christmas tree, flooding in. And the masculine energy is moving backwards to a certain balanced state. So they meet each other in perfect harmony and balance. And by doing that, all of us, stay in balance, which means we choose to go higher and higher frequencies. And eventually, there will be no reason to get upset. It won't exist, because the upsettedness is the ego mind. The only reason we get upset is the ego mind. It clouds our vision. And that's why so many of us get so tied up in these bodies. Okay? Our attention is diverted. And our attention is not directed towards the gods that we are in these bodies. Maybe a tad here and there, right? But not much. So that leaves us kind of empty. So where do we pour that energy? Into lower dark matter, survival matter frequencies. Where we put it. And that's why we respond to certain things that we respond to. You know, have you ever said to yourself that, you know, something occurs and you're just going along your day or whatever, night, morning, and you catch yourself being upset. And you stop and you say, wait a minute here. Before we go any further, what am I getting upset or being upset about? Let's look at it. Seriously, right? And you say that to yourself. And so you view what it is that you've stepped into lower frequency to be upset about. And you look deeper than that. And you find out just about every time, boy, that's a waste of my energy. I'm going to direct my energy to higher frequency. Just to be happy for no particular reason. Or to move into joy and deep gratitude. And then that whatever it was that tripped the switch with you is gone. It's disappeared. But you know, it's interesting. The ego mind, it loves to hold on to frustration, fear, and anxiety. And it does. It loves to just hang on to it. It's almost like you're going, man, how am I going to get rid of this? It just keeps popping up. Because the ego mind loves it. But this is about communicating with ourselves. Openly. Completely honest. Without ridiculing oneself, without coming down on oneself, the deep eternal love for oneself, and the God that you are in the body. And you might say to the God in your body, you know something, God, is this worth getting upset about? Really, truly. Is it really that, is it that much worth getting upset about? And you know your answer is going to be, just about every time, no, it isn't. It isn't even worth the time to put into it for yourself to get even lower frequencies. You may be looking at something that people are engaged with, and you're kind of watching things, and you're noticing how these people over here are getting irritated, and then there's some arguments over here, and you're sitting there going, I don't really care to get involved with that. You know, I can feel the low frequencies, you know, the harmonic energies just flooding all over the place, and I don't really care about it. You could walk through. You could be, let's say, in a populated area, and you're doing your own thing, and you're walking from point A to point B. So you walk through the groups of people. You're just walking through and everything. Then all of a sudden you get this almost a forlorn feeling, weird feeling. And you feel yourself kind of drop down. And you say, holy cow, I walked through that group who were expressing energies, imprints, atmospheric imprints, energies in the air that I walked through. And some of them stuck to me. About the best way to put it. And so you were just doing fine, and then you started feeling heavy and irritated for no reason at all. And you say to yourself, what the heck am I feeling this way for? And then it dawns on you. I walked through that group of people. They were buzzing like crazy, talking about this. Some of them were not too happy. And so I must have picked up some of that etheric energy. And now I'm feeling what they were feeling. And so you switch gears. You know it's not yours, okay? And you switch gears and you focus on the breath. You move into the now. And you focus on how deeply grateful you are for the very moment you're in. And this encounter that was able to wake you up enough for you to change directions and for you to impress higher frequency with yourself. This is all about knowing oneself. It really is. It's about beginning to know who and what you are inside the body, to begin to know that you are heart-minded and not ego-minded, and that you're learning to master the ego mind, use it in a good direction for you. I mean, you go as far as saying, I love you, Bill, or I love you, Harry. You saying this to you. I deeply, eternally love you. Look at yourself in the mirror and say that. You're not only saying that to the physical, you're saying it to the God within, looking back at you behind those eyes. You'll feel it. It is an absolute that you'll feel it. Doesn't it make a lot more sense? Of all the travels we've done as gods, that in this life, that we begin to recognize all the tomfoolery that the ego mind has played on us. And that it is by choice, our choice, to shift our vibrational frequencies. Period. No one else. It's you. It's up to you. Do I really care to be in doom and gloom any longer? No. Do I believe that I can manifest any life I choose? Any life that I choose that I want to live? Yes. These are things, when you start saying more yeses to yourself instead of iffy, well, I don't know, I'm not sure, and it's direct, absolutely. I have complete confidence, faith, and trust in myself. I can manifest anything. I can shift my vibrational frequencies whenever I choose. And, you know, and you're looking at a bunch of people walk by, right? You're on the sidelines, you're just watching. You just flood them with deep eternal love. Flood them. And you'll notice a shift. And see, this is all, it works more and more in higher frequencies. So you practice it more because you want to. So you don't feel like, oh, geez, I've got to do this. You say, I want to do this. And you're fully capable of doing it. And you have everything you'll ever need to discover and, in a way, uncover the God that you are in that body. And it just so happens along the way you discover the fact that I prefer to stay in my heart mind. I prefer to stay in higher vibrational frequencies. I just do. It's a no-brainer. Yeah, there are times where you might just go maybe a tad lower because the ego mind catches you. But you immediately understand that, and then you increase your frequency into higher. And then you know, it's like a lot of people get caught up in the fact of saying to themselves, before the day they're in is not even over. It's just started. They're already wandering off of, what am I going to do tomorrow? Right? What they're doing. What am I going to do tomorrow? When they haven't even finished the day that they're in. And this is simply just deciding not to go into tomorrow or yesterday, only in the now. And I can guarantee you, in the now, when you're truly in the now, you do not suffer. All the noise, the chatter, the mind chatter is gone. You have left the mind and ego alone. You're not thinking. You're not concerned about a darn thing. And you're in the now. And you're focused on your breath. And it's like, whatever you want, send it out to the universe in detail without one smidgen of doubt coming from you. And then just let go. You say, universe will work on that and take care of it, bring it into fruition and into material existence. I have no doubt about that. Do you want to be, not all the time, but the majority of the time, miserable in this life? That's low frequency. Or do you want to be in high frequency the majority of the time, in peace, joy, love, gratitude? It's your choice. Either way, you're going to affect people. You can get on the phone and have someone, 5,000, 6,000 miles away, and you can say negative things to that person. And even though you're 6,000 miles apart, or even think negative things, it will affect them. And with the feminine returning, that's a lot easier to do. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out. Take a slow and easy breath in through the nose, and a slow and easy breath out of the mouth. Move slowly. In fact, remain still. Whoever you've decided you are is still the tiniest fraction of who you really are. You are not defined by the ideas you have about yourself, nor your desires, nor the shape of your body, and not the positive or negative attitude of your mind. You are beyond all of this. You are indefinable. You are greater than your mind can fathom. You are a spiritual energy, which is unbounded and infinite. This is the true you that will never die. For 5 minutes sometime today, sit with the question, who am I? Explore it with your heart, not with your head. Be aware of the mind whenever it creates another idea of who you will be or who you were, and instead dive into the very essence of your being. Explore it with us here and now, at the very core of you in this moment. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night, and the following morning. And we'll return here Friday, May 5th, 2023, 3:15 p.m. Eastern to continue our global guided meditation call, 9 p.m. Eastern to continue our reverse aging health call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the deepest, deepest, deepest of eternal gratitude at all times. No matter what is going on out there in the illusionary world,